Hello, my name's Josh, and welcome to the DV Cinematography series from dvcreators.net. Let me ask you a question. What is it that determines the visual and sound quality of your finished project? It's not the speed of your computer or what editing software you use. It's the quality of your source footage that determines the quality of your finished project. No computer, software, or post-production process will ever be able to turn bad footage into good footage. Our goal in the DV Cinematography series is to give you the knowledge you need to shoot world-class, Hollywood-quality source footage with your DV camcorder and a few other pieces of inexpensive gear. This is the very first course in the DV Cinematography series, and we're calling it DV Enlightenment. And it's all about light and lighting. The reason we're starting with lighting is, before you ever roll a take, the light falling on your subject and scene determines whether your project's going to look good, bad, or mediocre. A badly lit scene shot with a $50,000 camera will look bad, while a beautifully lit scene shot with a $200 high-8 camera will look great. So lighting is extremely important to any quality project. There's a reason God made light the first priority when creating the universe. The DV Enlightenment course is made up of 4 parts. Light Essentials goes over basic properties of light and defines some terms and some gear we'll be using later. In the next section, I'll walk you through the dvcreators.net 4-point lighting method, which is a system you can use to get great results in almost any situation and communicate almost any mood you want. The third section, working with sunlight, will give you techniques for getting great footage using a free, really bright light source 93 million miles away, both outdoors and indoors. And the fourth section, Bright Ideas, will go over a bunch of cool lighting tips, tricks, and techniques to deal with certain situations. After going through this DV Enlightenment course, you'll know how to position your camera and subject in any scene to get the best results from existing lighting. You'll also know how to set up any kind of light sources, from a professional light kit to halogen work lights, a Japanese paper lantern, or just light bouncing off a wall or a piece of foam core, to control how light is falling on your subjects and scene to communicate the mood you're going for and capture beautiful images in any situation. To access any section of the DV Enlightenment course directly, go to the main menu and select the Chapter Index button. If you have any questions, visit our website at dvcreators.net for more information, forums where you can discuss any aspect of DV creation, news about our other products, and schedules for our workshops. So lighting is certainly a shining example of a subject where many bright people are completely in the dark. So let's see what we can do to shed some light on this illuminating subject and enlighten you on the highlights and reveal the shadowy secrets of the craft of professional lighting. Come on, you knew that was coming, didn't you? Your first assignment is, as you go through everyday life, start noticing moments when great lighting happens completely naturally. You might be looking at somebody outside during sunset, indoors with sun coming in through a window, or at night. But what you want to be thinking is, what directions are the light sources coming from? What are the color and intensity of the light sources? And could you possibly use this as a location to shoot in? During this DV Enlightenment course, you'll occasionally see a very subtle screen that looks like this. Although it's hard to notice and might slip past you, this screen will alert you to certain bits of knowledge we think are unique and especially helpful. And here's our very first big Hollywood secret. Whenever possible, shoot in places that look great already. That'll save you a lot of trouble. All right, thanks for watching. See you later. This next section will cover fundamental light properties and how to alter light with certain tools of the trade. One fundamental property of light is the intensity or brightness of the light source falling on your subject. Let's talk about how to vary the amount of light coming from a light fixture. Moving a light source closer to your subject will illuminate them more brightly. With a small point source of light, the illumination on your subject falls off more rapidly with distance than a large light emitting area. What this means is that moving your subject 3 more feet away from a white wall with light bounced off it will result in slightly less illumination, while moving them 3 more feet away from a bare light bulb will result in dramatically less illumination. Of course, a higher wattage lamp in the same fixture will produce a brighter light. The easiest way, other than moving a light, to decrease a light's brightness is adding a gel. Gels are sheets of heat-resistant material that you use to alter the light coming from a light fixture by mounting the gel in front of the light. To attach gels to a light, you can use a gel frame or wooden clothespins, known in the biz as C47s. Here's a tip. If you need to pad a project budget for unexpected expenses, put in $500 for C47s. The client won't ask what they are at the risk of appearing dumb. By the way, never use anything but real professional gels close to a light for safety reasons. One type of gel is called a neutral density gel, or ND gel for short. ND gels reduce the intensity of a light source without changing its color. You can also tape an ND gel to your head for inexpensive sunglasses. ND gels come in various strengths, like 0.3, 0.6, and 0.9. The higher the number, the darker the gel. ND gels are great for reducing the brightness of a light that you just can't move farther away because you're shooting in a small area. Here's an advanced tip for using an ND gel. Let's say you're shooting two subjects, one of whom has dramatically lighter skin color and clothing. You can position an ND gel part way over a light to make part of a scene a little brighter and another part a little darker. By positioning the gel so it reduces light falling onto the blown out subject, you can even out the lighting and make everybody look great. Wow, cool trick. Most other types of gels also reduce light output. Another item that will reduce the light output of a fixture is a scrim, which is a wire mesh fitting that clips over the front of a light. There are different grades of scrims for cutting light more or less. There are also graduated scrims and half scrims that will light part of the area brighter than the other part. Different light sources produce light of different colors, referred to in film and video production as color temperature. Incandescent light is yellowish. Sunlight in the middle of the day is bluish. Fluorescent light is greenish. Firelight or candlelight is orangish or reddish. Color temperature is measured in degrees Kelvin, ranging from 1,000 on the red side for candlelight or oil lamps to 6,000 or 7,000 on up for sunlight at noon coming from a clear blue sky. The DV Creators light kit we'll be using later has lamps that all have a consistent 3,200 Kelvin color temperature, which makes it easy to light a scene without worrying about correcting individual lights. When you do want to color a light on purpose, there are colored gels available in every color of the rainbow. The direction of your light sources has a huge effect on the mood of your shot and the effect it has on your viewers. As we talk about light position in terms of horizontal angles, imagine a line going from your camera lens to your subject, and another line going from the light to the subject. The angle of these two lines is the horizontal angle of the light. Vertical angles are measured relative to the ground. A light directly over your subject would be at a 90-degree vertical angle, while one placed at the level of your subject would be at 0 degrees. A very small point source of light emits what's called hard light. The sun on a clear day, a bare light bulb, or a spotlight are all examples of hard light sources. Hard light has certain characteristics. When shining a hard light on your subject, the transition between light and dark on your subject will be a sharp, distinct line. Shadows cast with hard light will also be sharp and distinct, making hard light excellent for finger puppets. If you want an unforgiving, unflattering look like an interrogation scene, hard light is the only way to go. Hard light brings out bone structure and detail much more than soft light, and it's more difficult to work with, but in the hands of a lighting master can deliver strikingly beautiful results. Soft light comes from large light sources, like a large lampshade, a ceiling of clouds on an overcast day, or a reflector or a softbox. Soft light wraps around your subject, resulting in a gentle, diffused transition from light to dark, and creates soft, transparent, sometimes invisible shadows. Soft light is terrible for finger puppets. When your intention is to make your subject look attractive, soft light is always the easiest choice, and often the best. What are some good options for soft light? We often use a Lowell Rifa light for a soft light. The Rifa is in a category of professional lights called soft boxes, which are lights enclosed in a hood black on the outside and silvered inside to maximize light output. The softbox has a large diffuser on the front to diffuse light. A diffuser is a piece of translucent material that makes the light quality soft because light's emanating evenly from the entire surface of the diffuser, not just a small light bulb. Because the hood on a softbox protrudes over the diffusion material, the light's fairly directional, not spilling everywhere like a china ball. There are softbox fittings for many professional lights, but the Rifa is nice because it opens and collapses like an umbrella for fast setup and easy transport. To make the light from a softbox even more directional, you can add a honeycomb-like grid called an egg crate. A Japanese paper lantern, called a china ball in Hollywood, makes a great inexpensive soft light, although the light is not easily controllable since it blasts out in all directions. Any large lamp with a white shade could also work for a soft light. Do-it-yourself types have made stands for china balls with PVC pipe and black artboard so the light direction can be controlled. Another way to get a soft light source is to attach a professional umbrella to any professional light, like a Lowell Tota or Omni fixture, or even a halogen work light from a home improvement store. The light bounces off the umbrella, which is brightly silvered or white, and since the large umbrella surface is radiating light, it turns a small bulb into a big soft light source. You can also soften a hard light a little bit by putting a diffusion gel in front of it. A diffusion gel works just like the diffuser on the front of a softbox, but much smaller. You can also create soft light just by bouncing a light source off of a piece of white foam core, available for a few bucks at any arts and crafts store. Just think, if the bulb in a professional light fixture is about 1 square inch, a 3-foot by 4-foot piece of white artboard has 1,728 times the surface area. You can also bounce a light off a white wall or ceiling to create a soft light source. As we cover lighting theory, you'll see how your choice of hard light or soft light makes a huge impact on the mood of your shot. Think about where your project will be shown. Television screens, computer screens, PDAs, portable video players, theater screens, they all have one thing in common. They're all flat. So it's up to you to build depth into your shots. The real world is three-dimensional. Some objects are closer, some are farther away. Because your eyes are set one nose apart, you see the real world in stereo. But your viewers watching your project as a single flat image don't have the benefit of 3D vision. There are many techniques to add depth to your shots. One of the most important is using lighting to create highlight and shadow areas on your subject so they appear three-dimensional instead of looking like a cardboard cutout. Shadows are a very important element of proper lighting because they help define the third dimension of your composition. Shadows give your viewers very intuitive, natural depth cues, determined by which surfaces are light and which are in shadow. The process of defining your subject in the third dimension by using light and shadow is called modeling. Lighting with no shadows looks very flat. The whole purpose of lighting is to describe the three-dimensional shape of your subject in light and shadow. The shadows on the surface of your subject opposite the light are called attached shadows. Attached shadows reveal the subject's form, shape, and texture. Shadows that are cast on other surfaces are called cast shadows. Cast shadows help define spatial relationships, but you generally want to avoid one subject casting a shadow on another. Another type of shadow to be avoided are crew shadows. These are shadows of your helpers on your set, especially the shadow of a boom mic. Now that we've defined some basic properties of light and learned about some lighting gear, I'm going to walk you through the dvcreators.net 4-point lighting method, a system we've adapted for the DV age from hundreds of years of lighting knowledge. We're going to examine each of the 4 light sources in terms of their function in the lighting setup, as well as introducing other tools and accessories when we need them. In the first walkthrough, we're going to examine a wide range of options for each point in the 4-point setup. Then at the end, we'll cover a simple formula that will work great as a starting point for many situations. Once you're familiar with this lighting method, you can often roll into a set and dial in a 4-point lighting setup in about half an hour. The primary light source in your scene And the first light in a 4-point lighting setup is called the key light. If you're shooting outside in the daytime, the sun is your key light. Indoors, the key light could be sunlight coming in through a window or a light fixture of some kind. The key light can be positioned anywhere, in front of, to the side of, above, below, or even behind your subject. The position, quality, and intensity of the key light establish the form, depth, mood, and surface detail level of your subject. The range of effects and moods you can get just by changing the placement of your key light is amazing. Let's look at some different positions for the key light and the mood and emotions they convey. The most common placement for your key light in professional lighting is about a 45-degree horizontal angle from the line between camera and subject and a 45-degree angle of elevation from the ground. This results in a classic lighting setup with excellent, attractive subject modeling called the Hollywood V, because you'll see a V shape or triangle of light on the subject's cheek opposite the key light. Also in the Hollywood V, you'll get a nice twinkle called a specular highlight in the upper side of the subject's eyes. This is the reflection of the key light and makes the subject look great. If we move the key light closer to the camera, the subject starts looking flatter and flatter with less shadow and less modeling. Unless you really want a flat two-dimensional look, try to avoid shooting with the key light close to the camera for a lot of reasons. First, you get a shot without much depth. Second, the shadow of your subject is often visible in the background. Also, it's uncomfortable for your talent to be looking towards a bright light for extended periods of time. And if they wear glasses, they'll just be reflecting the key light right back into the lens. But sometimes in a small room, you have to put the key light closer to the camera than you'd want. One upside of having the key light close to the camera is that it reduces surface detail. So if you want to make facial wrinkles go away, this is the key light position you want. A lighting setup where the whole scene is filled with light and pretty evenly lit is called high key lighting. As you move the key light towards a 90-degree angle to the side of your subject, several things happen. Less of your subject is lit and more is in shadow, so the mood gets more and more dramatic. When the light reaches a 90-degree angle, your subject is half light and half dark. You could use the 90-degree key light position to illustrate a scene where your subject has to make a difficult decision, or maybe is torn between her good side and her dark side. Also, as the light angle increases, surface texture and detail become more and more prominent. Here's a subject lit from the front, here's a 45-degree angle, and here's a 90-degree angle. Here's another example of surface detail becoming more noticeable with the angle of the key light. As we continue to move the key light from a 90-degree angle to behind the subject, more and more the subject is cast in shadow and the mood continues to get more dramatic. A lighting scheme in which only highlights are lit, with large areas of shadow, is called low-key lighting. So we've explored the effects of changing the key light's horizontal angle. What happens when we change the vertical angle? As we know, a good place to start for the height of the key light is about a 45-degree angle from the ground. But what happens if we increase the vertical angle of the key light? If you position the key light right overhead, angled straight down and shining on your subject, you'll get very bright areas on the top of your subject's head and shoulders, while the face and body are shadowed or in high contrast. This is often an unflattering look, hollowing out eye sockets and exaggerating facial features. A down angle can also be used to suggest a spiritual awakening, a higher power, or illumination coming from above in a scene where your subject